So, good morning, students. In the continuation of your science subject of class 8, in the first chapter, we have discussed this different crop production thing and different practices that are included in this crop production, in which we have discussed this preparation of the soil, then it is the sowing of the seeds, then application of manure and fertilizers. These things we have discussed. One more thing that we have discussed is irrigation. So next step of this crop production next is it is the weeding. It is the weeding. So the first thing that we have to know is what weed. The weeds are what? These are unwanted plants that are growing with along with the our main crop. So these unwanted plants are known as this weeds. So it is written, a weed is an unwanted and uncultivated plant in a field. This is called this weed. Let's say, suppose this is our field. Okay, this is our main plant. This is our main plant, and along with that, you have seen the different herbs are also growing. Okay, so this plant require this nutrients that we have discussed in your last topic, that they require this nutrients. But this nutrient is required mainly it is by our main crop. But suppose these unwanted plants or uncultivated plants, when they are also growing, they will also share these nutrients. They will also take this nutrient. So what will happen? This plant that is our main crop, it will not get proper amount of the nutrient. It will not get the proper amount of nutrient. So what will happen? This plant will become weak because its food or its nutrient is shared by these unwanted plants. So this is the harmful effect of this weeds. And they also secrete some toxins. Toxins are harmful chemicals that are harmful for our main crop. So this is the harmful effect of these weeds. So to remove this weed, the process that is done, it is known as this weeding. Okay, removal of weed from main crop, this process is known as weeding. So it is written, weed compete with the crop plant for nutrients, thus affecting the growth of crop plant. Also, they release the toxins which damage the main crops or plant. Okay, this is the harmful effect of weed. That's why weeding should be done. So, what is weeding? It is the removal of the weeding is the removal of the weeds from main crop. Okay, and this weeding can be done with the help of this trawl, or it is in Hindi it is known as this khurpa. Khurpa you all have seen. This khurpa is used for this weeding, that is removal of the weeds, and with the tractor or harrow. This is the trawl and this is the harrow that is driven by the tractors. Okay, but nowadays these are manual methods. This use of harrow and this trawl, it is the manual and it is time consuming also. So what today these days is done, it is the use of this weedicides. Okay, weedicides are what? These are chemical substances that are sprayed in this field and they kill the weeds. They do not affect our main crop, but they are used to kill the weeds. Like in this picture you have seen, this farmer is spraying this weedicide in the plant with the help of this machine. It is also very common, you all have seen. It is the sprayer. So with the help of this sprayer, they sprays the weedicides in the plant. What are weedicides? Weedicides are the chemicals. Okay. So when they sprays, so these weedicides kill the weeds and thus help the our main crops to grow properly by taking proper amount of nutrient available in the soil. But one of the harmful effect of that this weedicide, these weedicides are chemical substances. So since these are chemical substances, thus they pollute our environment. This water or this soil. They produce soil pollution and water pollution. So that's why this use of this weedicide is also harmful for us also. So now these have been reduced with replaced with the herbicides, which are obtained by from plants, like you have listened this neem and all that we use as this herbicides. Okay, so these herbicides are, since they are natural substances, so they do not affect the our environment, or they do not cause the pollution. Okay. The next is written weedicides. Whenever weedicides are the chemicals. Whenever it is sprayed in the soil, the farmer should cover his mouth with the certain thing. Okay, so that this chemicals do not enter in our body. So this is the weeding that is done by this use of weedicide or herbicides. Okay, then once weedicide is done, then our crop will grow properly and our crop will be prepared. Now once our crop is prepared, now it is ready to be harvested, and this process of cutting of the crop, that is called the harvesting. So it is written, harvesting is the removal or cutting of the crop from after maturity from the field. This process is known as this harvesting. Okay, and it is written the harvested crop. The harvested crop is called produce, that we have discussed in our first topic. It is called this produced or crop yield. Okay, like we are cutting this, like these days you have seen this. Which one is that? It is the wheats. They are being harvested. So this is called this the harvested grains that we get. It is the our produce. Okay. So harvesting these that is done. It is done manually or with the help of some machines. So when it is done, it is manually with the help of this hand sickle. It is our hand sickle. That is, in Hindi it is called hasiya, hand sickle. So but these days it is very less used because it requires lots of manual laborers, and it is also time consuming. So these hand sickles are now being replaced by this combined harvesting machine. Okay, but we will discuss it later. So suppose we have cut our this crop with the help of this hand sickle. So after this cutting, that should be introduced in this threshers. This is also a very common thing. Those belong to villages, they have seen this threshers. So these threshers, with the help of these threshers, the crop is inserted in there and it separates the chaff from husk. Okay. So what is this threshing? Threshing is the removal of the grain from the chaff. It is called this threshing. Removal of the grains from the chaff. Okay. So this stem cutting into small pieces stored as hay. Hay is, that is the, इसे हिंदी में भूसा कहते हैं. So stored as this hay. Hay is used to feed the cattle as a food, and food cattle is also known as fodder. Okay. But these days, as you have seen, these days this machine is used for this cutting as well as for this harvesting. These two processes takes place simultaneously in this machine. That's why this machine is known as this combine. It is called this combine. So combine has a sharp edge cutting of tools of grain, and then it separates the grains from stalk. So what it is doing? It is doing this combined work of this hand sickle as well as this thresher. So that's why it is called this combine machine or harvester. Okay. So this is the combine machine. So this machine has now reduced the time and labor cost of the farmers, because it is saving the time as well as the money of the farmer. So In this harvesting process we have discussed, the crops should be cut first and then it should be threshed. Okay, and these days it is done with the help of this single machine that is called this combine, because it is combining it do this combined process of this threshing as well as this cutting process. Okay, so this is a combined machine. And after that, this is the next step. Once we got our grains, then this last step is done, that is called this winnowing. Winnowing is that the separation of the husk or from our grain. Okay, after threshing, seeds or grains are separated from the chaff or hay by wind or by this machine, that is the winnowing machine. This is very common thing that you have seen in the villages. The farmers do this process of winnowing. Okay, so winnowing is the process of removing chaff, hay or husk from the main grain. This process is known as winnowing. Now that we have discussed the different processes, different steps here that are involved in this agricultural practices, first we have done this soil preparation, then we have done this